Much, Hemant. And thank you for the invite tonight for me. Today, I think for you, even warning for some of the attendees. Can you hear me?
Lavinia,
Can
we are
you
able to
confirm
hear
that
your
you can see
voice
and hear me
with
well?
a slight disturbance in between. Little voice break.
Okay. My connection seems okay here, but I can try and switch to yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll just switch to a backup
Okay, you can
connection.
continue. We are able to hear you clearly now. So let's just continue. You got your 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Um, All right. So, what I wanted to talk about today is the fact that we are living through a disorienting moment in the history of work. And the previous conversation I got to eavesdrop a little bit into it was obviously a lot of it was around AI, and I believe it's worried about AI replacing humans, but because most organizations have no idea what to do with this mix of humans and AI, right? As you were saying, I run a co-working and innovation hub in Bali, and I work with 20 plus different organizations within a year. So I basically see thousands of professionals work every week. And what I see are two extremes and almost nothing in the middle. So on one end, we see companies operating on the old model. So we see human talent as the primary asset, maybe a thin layer of ChatGPT generated emails on top. It's basically 2022 with a chatbot subscription, maybe. And on the other end, I see founders, especially deep in the hype cycle, convinced that they will never need to deal with humans again, switching frantically between 25 terminal windows, building agents to supervise and replace other agents. And I think, as I was saying, both of these two are extremes. And what I actually see shifting is that for decades, the dominant unit of organizational capability was human resources, the talent that you could attract in your organization, that you could develop, and that you could retain, them that managed it, right? And idea, the system is actually becoming a legacy concept in 20, if we wanted a clickbait title. This is not because people no longer matter, and it's because human talent alone, disconnected from AI, is no longer competitive or a differentiating asset for a lot of companies, right? A great analyst or designer or accountant and so on that doesn't work with AI is being outrun by a good analyst that does use AI. Not because the tech itself is smarter, but because the combination between the two is more capable. And the competitive variable becomes no longer the talent or the technology, but the connection between the two, and even more the quality of that connection between the two, right? So again, we have this image of traditional organization that just added a little bit of AI generated emails on top, versus the other end being this extremely automated, humans don't matter anymore organization. None of these two, I believe, are the strategy for the future for most organizations. So I believe that the organizations that will win in the next 5 to 10 years are not the ones with the best tech, with the best AI tools, and not the ones with the most headcount, which used to be the measure of success before, but the ones that figure out how to design what I call pair people and AI as coordinated resources. So instead of HR, we have people and AI resources. These two are not awkwardly coexisting, fighting with each other or replacing each other, but coherently working together. And the smartest operators I see are already thinking that way. They are designing organizational structures that think about capabilities. And when it comes to implementing AI, they're not measuring, who's using AI, who's not using it, on what subscriptions and so on, or what tokens are getting used or spent, but the output, the actual results of what's going on. The white space here is very significant. I think most organizations that I see and most entrepreneurs I see are flying blind on this. There's not a lot of frameworks or language or operating models and thoughtful organizational design for this people and AI era. So there's a lot of opportunity for exploration here. The solution is not a chief AI officer with a technology budget. It's a redesign of how people and AI work as a combined system, right? So if the audience remembers nothing else from my little talk tonight, but this, it would be this thought that the real unit of competitive advantage has shifted and it will continue to shift. It's no longer the talent you hire and retain. It is not the fanciest AI tool you can buy or a tech stack you can buy, but it's the quality of the connection between your people and your AI. And if you design that well as an entrepreneur, you won't just survive this transition, you will thrive and you will do the work that you and your teams were always meant to do, and less of the menial things we all want to get rid of.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Lavinia. That was a great thought to share. And yes, it opens up certain questions and opens up our minds to certain thoughts. So thank you very much for those expert bites. And with that, I move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Rahul Ranjan Srivastava. He's the founder and CEO of IntelliMark AI, where he leads the development and prescriptive and of his development of prescriptive and explainable AI solutions to drive marketing performance and revenue growth for organizations. Based in Bengaluru, he brings a strong blend of AI expertise and business strategy with a focus on marketing mix modeling, pricing optimization, and data driven decision making. Prior to this, Rahul has spent over 7 years at Unilever leading next generation AI initiatives across SmartTech, including Gen AI, omnichannel, consumer profiling, and even performance analytics. He's an alumnus of IIM Mumbai. He's passionate about leveraging cutting edge AI to deliver measurable business impact and help organizations unlock scalable growth. So over to you, Rahul. You have your 5 minutes now.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Hemant. So I think Lavinia gave a very good segue to what I was going to say, which is about people plus AI doing most of the job and become an important part of the ecosystem of an organization. And that's something which we are working on for a good amount of time, where what we are trying to do is we are trying to mimic the most intelligent analysts, leaders, employees in different departments, or like supply chain, marketing, pricing, trade promotions, risk analyst in real estate and all. And then we are creating their AI ulteriors or AI extensions. So imagine if you have a great sales manager who is able to drive good sales. What about that sales manager mentoring each and every salesman that is going around in the whole market, right? And that is what we are trying to bring into, and it's a very difficult problem to solve, because the current evolution of generative AI alone is not enough to do such deep decision making and analysis, right? So the future belongs to the company who have a high a very high speed to decision, right? I'll give you an example. 5 years back, 10 years back, a typical FMCG company used to plan their pricing every month or maybe every quarter. Today, I was just in a conversation with one of the largest beverages brand in the world, and they are pricing, they are taking the decision of pricing based on what kind of cricket matches are going on in the day on quick commerce thrice a day. So the price changes on the different e-commerce, quick commerce platform thrice a day. So the beauty of now the next generation of technologies is an always on subject matter expert who has the same expertise as the best in class employees of yours and is able to get to those prescriptive actions in almost real time, right? So since I have some time, I'll show you a quick demo of how this theory comes into play. So let's say we are an FMCG company, a D2C brand, which is launching products in the market every day. And we saw a sudden blip in the sales. Like we planned for X amount and the actual sales that happened in the month was, let's say, twice. Now I am sitting in an overhang of inventory and I have maximum 1 or 2 days after the month is closed to tell my factory, should I produce more? Should I produce less? What should be my strategy for the coming months? Now, a single agent that we have developed, which we call an RCA agent, root cause analysis agent, can analyze things like seasonality, inventory out of stock, trend, price impact, and stock out impact, and a lot of other analysis, festivities, and all those other things, and give you a clear reason why your sales didn't happen to the extent, or it happened way beyond to the extent that you planned, right? So this agent in real time can analyze a lot of different machine learning aspects of seasonality shifts, trend shift, pricing impacts, inventory analysis, etc., and give you a complete view within seconds of why a certain SKU or certain product didn't perform the way that you expected it to. And this is the same replication you see in supply chain, and then it gives a clear action. Should you produce more? Should you let's dilute this particular inventory you're sitting on? And it gives you a complete picture. So similar extensions of your senior leaders who used to do this analysis, rarest of the rare talent in the industry, we are mimicking them, and we are giving it out to our different clients across real estate, risk analyst, across D2C, across supply chain, across sales, pricing, marketing, trade promotions, and all different industries, and customized and configured to the thought process and constraints and mechanisms of an organization. So this is adding so much value to some of the biggest clients in the world. And this is a really super interesting idea. And as Lavinia said, the future belongs to people plus AI. And if that people plus AI combination is the biggest talent, rarest talent that you have, then the sky is the limit to the amount of configurations, bottlenecks, and constraints that you can move to let your revenue grow without any constraints. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul. I think you packed in quite a lot in those 5 minutes. It will take some time for people to actually unpack that and come in. Okay, so with that, I come to our next speaker. I'm going to invite. We have Kasem. Let me just check. Yes, Kasem is here, and where's Kasem's introduction? Okay, I need to get the. Yes,
Thank you very
Kasem.
much. Hello, and thank you
Yes.
very much. I'll be very quick as I'm jumping on another commitment. So, but there is a topic that is very close to my heart, especially with what's happening today in the region and in the market and internationally. So there is a lot of uncertainty. Supply chain is knowing chaos. International trade is going through chaos. Transportation is going through chaos. And we're talking since all the people that joined the call were talking about AI, and they were talking about how AI is impacting the course of trade, or the course of buying, or the course of the supply chain. But what I've seen during this crisis is probably a little bit of resilience that we gained from the COVID era, but it stops there. So today, if we look at what every single importer and exporter is going through, there is a lack of visibility, lack of clarity, surprising rates, carriers being lost, knowing that it is one of the biggest lobbies and one of the biggest investors when it comes to technology. We're talking about forwarders that are lost, that are also the one among the biggest investors in technology. We're talking about importers, exporters being lost, although they were supposedly doing so amazing when it comes to AI and visibility, when it comes to supply and demand, etc., 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 etc. So surprising rates, surprising schedules, lack of visibility, a lot of stress, and the chaos. Why? Because we have been focused, or the industry was focused on deep diving into the same topics. So they came up with aggregation. Everybody went to doing aggregation. So you have aggregation for last mile, you have aggregation for first mile, you have aggregation for international trade. You have WMS and TMS, and then they went crazy with WMS and TMS, and they kept on improving it. When it comes to demand planning, they improved demand planning, they improved supply planning, but there was no real focus AI when it comes to routing, pricing, and forecast in terms of international transportation, without even touching a topic that was a problematic at the time of the COVID, which is proximity in terms of procurement versus centralized procurement. So in other words, procuring from China, and people were talking at that time about procuring from markets that are closer to, so let's say France, procuring in countries closer to France, so they don't have to ship from China. And here again, many years later, we're falling into the same, problematic. People today have a lot of problems shipping from China because they don't know how the cargo would move through Hormuz Strait. And we're talking about diverting through Saudi Arabia or South Africa, etc. But this is not a solution, and every supply chain expert knows that. So to summarize, there is a lot that are yet to be done in terms of international transportation, and I think this is the right moment. We can ask for Mr. AI support and Mr. AI help to find solutions. And I think if there is any I'm sure here in the call there are many people that are VCs or researchers in AI, or that people that look for the next challenges. And I think this is a challenge that is quite interesting to tackle. How to manage international transportation, and how to plug in AI, how to plug in AI when it comes to how can we plug in AI when it comes to rates, forecast, routing, forecast, centralized procurement versus non-centralized procurement. And here, this aspect, I'm not talking about finding suppliers, but I'm talking also about centralized / AI regulation, or visibility on the regulation. In other words, I'm benefiting from zero taxes from X country to my country. What other countries are offering me the same? What identical countries are offering me the same transit time? Or how can automatically my entire value chain be calculated and giving me the same landed costs or overheads? I'm talking about transportation overheads, obviously, and the same regulatory advantages as my previous sourcing origins. And I would like to thank you very much. A small introduction. My name is Kasem, and I'm the founder of CEO of Trade Social, which is a platform that basically is doing its best to tackle this problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kasem. Thank you very much for bringing in that perspective also innovating. So thank you. And just with that note, I bring we come to another real world challenge that someone is building for. So let me introduce Akash Gupt on that note. Akash, Akash, are you here? I see you, so you can come on video.
Yeah.
Yes. So Akash is the co-founder of Byte Edge, an AI-driven micro-learning platform focused on transforming workforce skills for the future. Based in Gurugram, he brings over 2 decades of experience in regulatory services, tax, and strategic leadership. Before founding ByteEdge, Akash has spent nearly 13 years at PwC India, where he served as a partner and national leader in regulatory services and tax markets. Known for his sharp mind, insights, technical expertise, and visionary leadership, he has built a reputation as both a strategic thinker and a people centric leader. His work today is centered on reimagining learning and unlocking the human potential through technology. So, Akash, over to you.
Thank you, Hemant. So today I probably speak about the most traditional of the industry sectors, that is education. We now call it EdTech. It's a $7 trillion global ecosystem. There's no dearth of content in the education. There are millions of courses and hundreds and thousands of platforms. The issue is really that not even 20% of learners are able to translate their learning into real capabilities and outcome. And which is where the problem of the sector has been. It's not been the access now, it's the outcome. Despite the 2 decades of digitization, whether it's by way of platform, whether by way of content, we have not been able to bring out an education initiative which is outcome-based. The second important thing to keep in mind in the context right now is the advancement in the AI. AI has literally become like a 24/7 companion for the students. Students today are more aligned to AI assistants than even writing notes. And therefore, the whole education system is being rebuilt to move from delivery to outcome-based. And in this context, having built ByteEdge and growing it, I see 3 important shifts which are happening, and all 3 because of AI. So number one, there is the content is getting commoditized. What used to take weeks, teams, and a lot of machinery to build content today can be done in a jiffy. And it's become table stakes, all because of AI. The second important change is that AI is today moving into classrooms. And I'll give you a very simple example in the Fulton County, which is a very famous example in USA. Around 85,000 students from 100 plus schools, they were actually connected and integrated into AI using chatbots only for the purpose of daily learning experience. And what was experienced was very high level of curiosity amongst the student and interactions driving a very high engagement. And this will continue. The third important shift that we see is that AI is actually collapsing the edtech stacks. So, the different segments that you see, for example, LMS, assessments, proctoring, authoring, all that has been giving broken experience to the users. AI is making it possible to provide a single user interface and what we call a full stack. And at ByteEdge, we always followed the principle of full stacks even 2 years back. And today, AI is making it possible. I'll give you an example. Say Khan Academy. It's just not teaching today. I mean, it is guiding, it is evaluating, real-time adaptation for like hyper-personalization. So instead of what could have been done by 4 different platforms, Khan Academy is doing it as a single platform. And that you can see even in the investment patterns. In just last year, 60% of investments in the edtech sector has been in the AI-first platforms. I mean, my favorite example is Sana Labs, acquired for $1.2 billion by Workday. Glean raised $100 million last year. And these are AI native platforms. They are not AI features on traditional platforms or AI layers. They are very, very outcome driven. So what is the opportunity here? There are twofold opportunity that I see. One, there is like education is being driven by AI. I mean, today when companies are hiring, the AI literacy is 6 times more than what it used to be earlier as a minimum requirement for hiring, whatever role we are talking about. The kicker is that 66% of companies are not even hiring people who don't have any kind of AI literacy and the ability to deal with the AI tools. So that is the environment we are moving towards, and this is only going to grow. But where is the system of the education in this environment? Traditionally, our education system is still more focused on completion, complete your courses, complete your modules, get a certification. Those don't work anymore. In real life, completion doesn't work. The actual capability to perform real time under pressure is what is important, and which is what the education needs to bring, and which is where the opportunity is, and which is where I bring what we do in ByteEdge. So in ByteEdge, we realize that there is a huge gap between the strategy that a company builds versus how it is eventually delivered at the front line, whether it is for sales, whether it's for customer service. That's because the knowledge of the whole strategy is getting locked in documents. And only technology, and unless people have the knowledge of the domain product that they are selling or they are servicing, they will not be able to deliver in the marketplace. So we actually we created a whole full stack ecosystem. I mean, we completed the loop where you are able to deliver the knowledge of a strategy of companies campaign initiative directly to the front line using visual methods, modern visual methods like an Instagram. But that's not enough. Using AI-based role play simulations and agentic AI for providing like immediate performance support, what we are able to do is that right on the ground, the users become very outcome driven and deliver in the marketplace. At the same time, the organizations are able to assess their execution readiness index, and merely by way of working on their execution readiness, they are able to improve their ROIs. So that is the impact that ByteEdge does on organizations, and the learning, which is domain learning of the company's own knowledge to be able to deliver. It becomes like a daily driver of the business of a company. I would close my viewpoint on the sector by just one point, that we have so far been able to do one thing very nice in the education and the edtech sector, that is deliver education very nicely, whether online or through the institutions. But we have not been able to transform the sector. I mean, when I say transform, you look at, you compare from horse carriages to EVs, or from letters to like video talking. That does not happen in the education sector, and that will happen only with the advent of AI. This is the inflection point, because in today's environment, education is not about teaching. It's not about content platform. It is actually about ensuring that people can deliver when they perform. And that's a very different business.